not for long. Hit the flood! Batman, you are under arrest! Fox, Stokes, rush him!
Shoot?
He's twice your age, son. Find the nerve.
When The Dark Knight Returns, Part 2 arrived in 2013, it brought a powerful conclusion to one of the most ambitious animated adaptations ever made in the DC universe. Picking up immediately after the events of Part 1, the film continued the story of an older, battle-worn Bruce Wayne, who had returned to Gotham streets to fight once again as Batman. The world had changed, Gotham had changed, but the Dark Knight's resolve remained as fierce and unyielding as ever. This chapter wasn't just a continuation, it was a grand finale that took the themes of aging, morality, and legacy to their darkest and most profound depths. The film delved deeper into the psyche of Bruce Wayne, showing a man who had defied age, time, and even his own body to uphold his mission. His return had reignited both hope and chaos in Gotham, drawing lines between law, rebellion, and justice in a world that had long abandoned its heroes. The city, once consumed by crime and fear, was now a battleground of ideology where Batman stood not just as a symbol of vengeance, but as a revolutionary force challenging authority itself. The story dared to explore what happens when the hero who once inspired a generation becomes a threat to the system he once protected. What made this sequel stand out was its fearless portrayal of moral conflict. Batman's actions in Part 2 blur the lines between right and wrong more than ever before. He's no longer the young crusader of Gotham's golden age. He's a soldier fighting against the decay of society, even if it means standing against those he once called allies. The film paints him as both savior and outlaw, a man who refuses to surrender to time or government control. His journey becomes an echo of rebellion, a message that even in a world of corruption, a single man's conviction can spark a revolution. The tension rises as Batman's presence starts to challenge not just criminals, but the very foundations of authority. Gotham becomes divided between those who idolize him and those who fear him. The mutants who once terrorized the city in Part 1 are now part of his army, reformed and loyal to his cause. This evolution in the story shows how Batman's influence transforms chaos into order, even if his methods are brutal and extreme. It's a reflection of how leadership, even when born from darkness, can unite the broken. A major highlight of the film is the introduction of Superman into the story, bringing one of the most iconic confrontations in comic book history to life. The clash between Batman and Superman isn't just a physical battle, it's an ideological war. Superman represents obedience, order, and government control, while Batman stands for resistance, freedom, and moral independence. Their fight is symbolic, reflecting two visions of heroism in conflict with each other. The way the film builds up to their inevitable confrontation is nothing short of cinematic poetry. Every word, every punch, and every moment carries the weight of decades of shared history and conflicting ideals. The emotional weight of their fight is amplified by the years of friendship and respect between them. Batman sees Superman as a god who's forgotten what it means to be human, while Superman sees Batman as a man who refuses to understand the bigger picture. Their battle becomes the heart of the film, one that defines not just the fate of Gotham, but the legacy of heroes themselves. The sequence is intense, raw, and deeply symbolic, showing that even legends must confront the consequences of their beliefs. While the film delivers spectacular action, it never loses sight of its emotional and psychological depth. Every punch and explosion is tied to a larger theme about aging, responsibility, and rebellion against a system that has lost its soul. Bruce Wayne's struggle is no longer about saving Gotham from villains. It's about saving it from its own apathy. He fights not just for justice, but for meaning in a world that has forgotten what true heroism looks like. The writing is sharp, the tone is grim, and the storytelling remains faithful to Frank Miller's original vision, giving it both authenticity and cinematic power. One of the most haunting elements of the movie is how it portrays Batman's mortality. We see the toll that years of fighting have taken on him. His body is battered, his heart is weary, yet his spirit refuses to die. He's a man who knows he's nearing his end but refuses to fade quietly into legend. Instead, he chooses to go out defying everything that stands in his way, proving that the idea of Batman is bigger than Bruce Wayne himself. It's this defiance that gives the story its emotional core, showing how legends are born not from power, but from persistence. Visually, the animation captures the dark, gritty tone of Gotham with remarkable precision. The shadows feel alive, the colors muted yet powerful, echoing the themes of decay and resistance. The design of the city mirrors Bruce's inner turmoil, a crumbling monument to a world that has lost its heroes. Every frame feels deliberate, every movement loaded with purpose, creating a cinematic experience that feels both graphic and grounded. The fight sequences, particularly the showdown between Batman and Superman, are choreographed with intensity and realism, blending raw physicality with emotional storytelling. The supporting characters play crucial roles in shaping the story's emotional and moral layers. Carrie Kelly, as Robin, continues to embody youthful hope and loyalty, serving as a symbol of renewal amidst the darkness. Her relationship with Bruce adds a touch of humanity to the grim tone, reminding the audience that even in his old age, Batman still inspires the next generation. Commissioner Yindel represents the authority that struggles to reconcile with Batman's methods, torn between admiration and condemnation. And the Joker, in his terrifying final appearance, brings the film to one of its most shocking and unforgettable moments. The Joker's arc in Part 2 is a chilling exploration of obsession and destruction. His return from Catatonia reignites his twisted relationship with Batman, culminating in one of the most disturbing confrontations in the series. The battle between them in the Tunnel of Love is both poetic and tragic, symbolizing the eternal bond between hero and villain. The Joker's death scene is hauntingly perfect. It's not just an end to a character, but the death of an era. His final act forces Batman to confront the part of himself that thrives on conflict, pushing him to the edge of his morality. After the chaos of the Joker's death, the film shifts gears toward its final act, the confrontation with Superman and the government. The world views Batman as a terrorist, while his followers see him as a savior. The media becomes a battlefield of opinions, echoing real-world debates about power, freedom, and authority. The film's social commentary feels eerily relevant, portraying how society often fears the very heroes it creates. Through powerful dialogue and bold imagery, the story questions what it truly means to be a hero in a world driven by politics and control. As the story reaches its climax, the tension between Batman and Superman reaches breaking point. Their confrontation is monumental, staged with operatic grandeur and emotional intensity. The fight is not about victory, it's about making a statement. Every strike from Batman is a declaration that man's will can stand up to God's, that humanity's defiance cannot be silenced by power. The armored suit, the kryptonite, and the determination in Bruce's eyes make this sequence one of the most unforgettable moments in DC animation history. The aftermath of the fight leaves both heroes changed forever. Batman's apparent death marks the end of an era, but also the birth of something greater. Beneath the ruins of the old Gotham, a new legacy is born, a movement built on his ideals, carried by those who believed in him. The final scenes reveal that Bruce Wayne has survived, retreating underground to rebuild and train the next generation. It's a poetic ending that reinforces the idea that Batman is more than just one man. It's a symbol, a rebellion, a never-ending fight against corruption and fear. The soundtrack of The Dark Knight Returns. Part 2 amplifies the emotion of every scene, blending haunting orchestral notes with powerful crescendos that mirror the film's intensity. The music captures both the tragic and triumphant tones of Batman's journey, underscoring the balance between despair and determination. It's a score that lingers long after the credits roll, adding another layer of depth to the storytelling. As a whole, the film stands as one of DC's greatest animated achievements. It's not just a superhero movie, it's a psychological epic that examines the nature of heroism, authority, and sacrifice. Every line of dialogue, every shot, and every choice in this film carries meaning. It challenges viewers to look beyond the mask and question what drives a man to become a legend. It's a story about legacy, rebellion, and the cost of standing for what's right in a world that punishes those who dare to challenge it. The Dark Knight Returns. Part 2 is a fitting conclusion to Bruce Wayne's long and painful journey. It honors the myth of Batman while exposing the man behind it, reminding us that even when heroes fall, their symbols endure. It's a story that leaves a mark not just on Gotham, but on the audience who witnesses the fall and rise of one of fiction's greatest icons. Decades after its release, it still resonates as a masterpiece of storytelling and animation, a bold reminder that, even in darkness, the legend of the Dark Knight will always rise again.